Statement of the President of Ukraine.
Thank you. Dear Mr. President, dear Nikos, ladies and gentlemen, our teams, attendees, dear journalists. I am pleased to welcome today to Ukraine, on his first visit to Ukraine, the President of Cyprus. And it is important that this visit takes place on the eve of the Cypriot Presidency of the European Union, which will begin in January. We view today's visit both as a sign of support for Ukraine and as a sign of our continued joint readiness to work together for the sake of both our countries and for all of Europe. Today I informed Mr. President about the situation in Ukraine, the situation at the front, our priorities, the work of our team in the negotiation processes with our partners. We discussed the common European agenda in great detail. Europe is now developing a new global role for itself. All the events that have been taking place for almost 4 years indicate that Europe's role must be really strong. It depends on each nation, on each leader. Ukraine has given Europe a significant unifying impetus, and this energy works for European strength. This will continue to be the case. We expect that the European community will be with Ukraine as it is necessary to achieve peace and guarantee reliable security. I want to thank Cyprus for its support at the political level. This applies, in particular, to negotiations on Ukraine's membership in the European Union. We expect that the coming months will bring further progress on the country's path to the EU. And the Cypriot presidency could become historic in terms of opening clusters for Ukraine and other necessary decisions. I would like to specifically thank you for Cyprus supporting the sanctions policy against Russia, against its aggression, this war, and all the destruction caused by this war. And now the leaders of the European Union are preparing a new sanctions package. We want to make it truly effective, which means continuing to put pressure primarily on the Russian energy sector, as well as on everything else that provides Russia with budget revenues, and thus the ability to prolong this war. We will be grateful to Cyprus for further joint work with us and all Europeans on the Russian tanker fleet, on Russian schemes to circumvent sanctions. We count on Cyprus' support for joint European decisions regarding Russian assets. It is an absolutely fair principle that Russia must pay for the war that it started and continues. The funds needed for defense and for recovery after Russian attacks can rightfully be taken from the amounts that the aggressor itself has left in the hands of the free world. And one more thing. On the eve of the UN General Assembly, a resolution concerning Ukrainian children abducted by Russia was adopted. Cyprus is among the countries whose voice is in support of the need to return all our abducted Ukrainian children. I want to thank Cyprus for this. We thank the people of Cyprus for their support, and we hope that Cyprus will continue to participate in such work, in resolving humanitarian issues. Russia has been holding Ukrainian prisoners since 2014, holding both military and civilians, many political prisoners who lived in the occupied Crimea. Thousands of Ukrainian children are now scattered across Russia, and there they are being taught, undoubtedly being taught, hatred toward us, toward their homeland, and toward their own homes. Ukraine needs global support to fix it all. I want to thank you for the fact that Cyprus is with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes. Statement of the President of Cyprus. Dear Mr. President of Ukraine, dear friend, Volodymyr, it is a great honor for me to be able to visit Kyiv today. And I would like to express not only my solidarity and support from Cyprus, but also personally acknowledge the resilience that the Ukrainian people are showing against this criminal invasion. On behalf of the government and all the people of Cyprus, I would like to state that we are united in Ukraine's struggle against the enemy. And we support all of these fundamental values. On behalf of our authorities, on behalf of our government, as the next country to hold the presidency of the Council of the European Union, we would like to assist with this support. And I would also like to repeat today that Cyprus has always supported Ukraine. It has always stood on the side of Ukraine, on the right side of history, and it will continue to do so, to support and to adhere to this clear policy. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today President Zelensky and I had the opportunity to discuss certain issues. We, of course, discussed our upcoming presidency of the Council of the European Union. And I would like to emphasize our shared desire to develop and further strengthen the relations between our two countries. And, of course, we have secured support. And we would like to make use of the support of the large Ukrainian community in Cyprus, which was established before Russia's invasion and continues to grow every year. And the Cypriot society, it embraced, opened its arms to Ukrainians, provided them with maximum support so that they could live normally in Cyprus. And also, in light of the prolonged invasion that we are all experiencing, we discussed with the President our ideas regarding possible next steps in our bilateral relations. We emphasized our clear position that a peace agreement must be based on the principles of the United Nations Charter and on full respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. At the same time, I emphasize that peaceful efforts should help advance effective and substantial support for Ukraine, including effective support from the Council of the European Union. On the other hand, I would also like to emphasize that the security of Ukraine is directly related to, and connected to, the security of the entire European Union. I believe that we have already proven this with our actions, our support, the fact that we are on the side of Ukraine. And, as you noted, it is important to maintain and continue the European sanctions. And, of course, they need to be improved and deepened. They shouldn't be neutral. We must fight against these repeated actions. This tragedy that the people of Ukraine are experiencing, so that they still have the opportunity to embody their interests and support their interests. I also informed the President about the latest issues concerning the Cyprus topic, the Cyprus question, and the negotiations. And we also talked about protecting the territorial integrity of Cyprus. Just like Ukraine, the Cypriot people have the same history. Unfortunately, we understand perfectly well what a military invasion is, what military occupation is. And it is precisely this shared foundation, what we have in common and have experienced together, that allows us. This is why we understand. And it is this that enables us to see the prospects and the path through which we can help Ukraine. And everyone must be heard, every voice must be heard. Of course, this is primarily about the independence and territorial integrity of the entire state, so that it remains as a single whole. And we will continue our support. We remain on Ukraine's side. And in connection with our upcoming presidency of the Council of the European Union, which will begin in just 27 days, we will indeed be on Ukraine's side. At this time, when geopolitical pressure is being exerted and is increasing, Europe, of course, needs unity, integrity, and considerable determination. Cyprus is ready and is doing everything possible on its part to help Ukraine on its path to becoming a member of the European Union. And I would also like to address, in this context, the issue of enlargement. Because it is a conscious choice of Ukraine to become part of the European Union. We also talk about geopolitical issues. We must advance the European Union's enlargement processes, strengthening, among other things, our collective security and our democratic resilience, which is important both for Ukraine and for the European Union. It will, so to speak, support the further development of the European Union and its prospects. Here, representing the small people of Cyprus, I would like to say that we fully understand what it means to go through the path to European Union membership. We understand the regional challenges. We understand what lies ahead of us, what is posed to a country on its path to the European Union. And again, we know perfectly well about the occupation. We know about the fight against the occupiers. And here it is necessary, in an institutional and coherent manner, to maintain these steps and this vision on the path toward one's European perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.